Okay, so if I run for president in 2024, would you be my vice president? Also, I would be interested in being your vice president should you run for president in 2020, but I don't think either of us are going to be old enough for that. So, I think we could have 16 strong years in the White House if you're my vice president or I'm your vice president, and then we switch.
Welcome everybody to the Between the Season Murder Break number 3. Yeah, we out here, guys. We are out here. Hey, across the internet, my good friend, Hella Greg. What's going on over there and how goes it?
Good, man. It's good. Chilling.
All day, every day, till the day you die.
That's right.
So how was the mobile bunker? I should ask. We've talked about it a little bit over the break here. I know you've gone mobile.
How's good? You could tell I was in it earlier when I called you about being my vice president or me being your vice president.
You were on the road finding your newest recording spot.
Yeah,
appreciate that. So let's just get right into it, man. This is our third one. How many more of these are we gonna do? We got one or two more.
I can't read that.
I think we've got two more of these. We're bringing it to you every week, fuckers. So today, Greg and I both brought stories. Intentionally, I made sure I didn't bring a child story. I can't speak for Greg. I haven't looked over his story yet. So
nobody speaks for Greg.
We'll jump right into it. Greg, fucks you got, man?
This actually isn't officially a murder.
It's true crime, dark, creepy, or otherwise mysterious.
Well, so April 24th, 2018, a man named Matthew Shelters left the Backdoor Grill on Oak Street in downtown Steamboat Springs, Colorado, around 12:20 a.m. It wasn't long. I really don't know how long because the articles didn't say anything about it. But his family realized he was missing. His friends and family were like, he didn't contact anybody. So they set up a Facebook page. It's still up, actually, facebook.com/search for shelters. They have shirts with his face and information about him. His friends and family searched up and down the Yampa River and through Routt County, and they didn't turn anything up. On Wednesday, July 4th, Routt County Commissioner Carrie
Where is it? I'm supposed to be following along here.
Help me out here.
I lost Hermachinsky. Yeah, I like that.
Carrie Hermachinsky was hiking with friends near her house on the north side of Old Town Steamboat. She actually ran upon the body. She found Matthew Shelters. Yeah, according to the reports, it was, quote, badly decomposed. And also, quote, likely it was at least partially submerged in water at some point.
Something may have pulled it out of the water.
I guess in Colorado.
Yeah,
I could see that. Actually, he was found along the bank of the Soda Creek, about 25 yards upstream from a barbed wire fence. The fence backed up to like 800 acres that was leased for like cattle and hay purposes. Like they were farming and ranching out there. And those guys were pretty adamant about trespassing not being permitted.
Yeah, I was just going to say probably not a real busy foot traffic area.
Yeah, and that was kind of nothing really points to these guys doing it. You know what I mean? Not like even though they were like, yeah, nobody trespasses out here and we make sure of it. They weren't like, yeah, we fucking shoot anybody who does, like it wasn't anything like that. So nobody really, they're not like connected. They're not involved. But because it was outside of Steamboat Springs city limit, the Routt County sheriffs got involved, and the sheriff who was running the investigation, his name's Garrett Wiggins. He was really more preoccupied with how the body got there. it seemed to me in the couple of articles that I read about this, he was more focused on he was like, I don't understand how it got here. I don't understand why anybody would be out here on foot. There's no car. There's no nothing. Like, how did he get here? And it was
not like, who did this?
Yeah. It's like, how, because there was no, I don't know.
You're not asking the right questions, detective.
Yeah. So, they did the autopsy and they didn't find an obvious cause of death. There was nothing like, he tripped and fell and hit his head or, anything like that. No obvious trauma or anything outstanding. They were actually hoping toxicology would clear something up, but they said it would take, because they have to test and retest. They said it would take like 7 to 8 months to do this. God, and because they were able to get such limited samples that there's really nothing to work with.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they're spread thin.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's crazy that it just sucks.
You mean you're not a forensic scientist and you can't explain it to me fully, please?
I cannot. I couldn't give you. I would need somebody to explain like I'm 5 before I could explain like you're 5. So that's kind of all I got. I mean, if you know anything, if you saw the dude, if you have any information, live in the area and know anything about it, help
out.
So
it's only been. I mean, it's 5 months. About 5 months, right?
Yeah. And
it's 4th. That's 4th.
He was found in July. He disappeared in April.
That's right.
But I'm sure they're still probably willing to take any information that you have regarding it. And then, again, facebook.com/search for shelters.
Yeah. Know something, say something.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for the story.
Yeah.
I brought the story of Peter Spitz, and we brought stories that once again share something in common. This time something far more broad and not as sad. Both occur in the state of Colorado. So connections. We're making connections.
That's right. Connecting the dots, drawing parallels.
Yes. Yes, and. It
seems like yours happened sooner than, or longer ago than mine.
Maybe 2004. Yes, indeed it did. So, this is the story of Peter Spitz. He is an ex-Marine. And in 2004, he and his beautiful wife, who had been married for 4 years, had an 8-month-old son living with his mother. They were getting back on their feet after some troubles. After he came out of the Marines, they ran into a little bit of financial trouble, but both of them were holding down decent jobs and kind of getting ready to move out. And it wasn't like a bad situation. His mother had a great big house. She loved the grandson. She doted upon him. She took care of him, and the parents were able to really do what they needed to do to get back on their feet. So it was a really good situation for everybody.
That's cool. I like to hear that she was so supportive and stuff like that.
Right. Teresa and Peter were very clearly in love. Everything seems to be going very well. On May 16th, 2004, that will all change. The day had been spent, it was Mother's Day weekend. The day had been spent building a fence at their home. Teresa and Peter were doing this while the mother, Sheeta, watched the 8-month-old son. Spitz called this day and his life, quote, picket fence. While Peter slept in their Englewood, Colorado home, Teresa began a series of events that would change everyone's life forever. She loaded and concealed a .38 special in the bathroom drawer, wrote a few letters to sort some things out, gave the baby a bath and put him to bed. Peter woke up around 3:30 a.m. and to Teresa fully awake and fully clothed. He was curious about this because that's quite early for her to be doing so. So he asked her, and she said, the baby needs some diaper cream. I'm going to take him. We're going to go get it. We'll be back. You just go to sleep. You got a half an hour till you got to be up. So Peter falls back asleep. But what he doesn't know is that she set his clocks back or turned off his alarms or whatever. He's not going to wake up. So She takes the baby bag. She packs it with some things and takes the baby and the bag to some very close friends of hers. And she says, "Hey, Peter's having some chest pains. I'm going to take him to the hospital. Can you guys please watch the baby for a little bit?" And like, who's going to say no to that? Yeah, of course.
Right.
So she heads back to the house, and Teresa heads back to the house. And on her way back, the woman that she dropped, I left her names out because I didn't feel that it was important. On the way back, she realized the bag is way overpacked. Like, it had diapers and clothes enough to last a week. There was also a diary, some jewelry, $500 cash, and a letter giving custody of the child to the friend.
Damn.
So I think they noticed this a little later when they really dug into the bag.
Do that?
I guess.
Dude, if you can do that, I'm never babysitting again.
So she drives back to the house, goes into the bathroom, retrieves the gun. So, like, this is very...
Like, she's got a plan.
Very methodical, yeah. Walks into the bedroom, stands over her husband, Peter, and shoots him in the face. She begins to walk out of the bedroom, and he's yelling for her, like, "Teresa, like, help me."
Oh, no.
And so she goes back and shoots him in the face again.
Oh, no.
So she walks out the door and into the hallway and goes to head down the stairs so she can get out of the house. And she hears him again, still struggling.
Oh, God.
So she goes in and she puts the revolver to his temple and pulls the trigger one more time. By this point, she does downstairs calling up like, "Oh my, what is that? Is everything okay?" Like, some people just don't know the sound of a gun. You know what I mean? Like, it's a loud thing, like just yelling up like, what's going on? So Teresa comes down the stairs, and it's not clear whether Sheeta knew she was in danger or not. There are essentially two stories. One says that she was like grabbing her glasses so she can get to the phone to call 911. And one says that she may have been running away from Teresa, but at any rate, Teresa shot her in the back of the head.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fucking cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. It is. It really is. It's this story gets worse. Hang in there.
Fucking good.
Hang in there. So,
Damn.
Yeah. So she goes out to her car, takes her cell phone, and dials 911 and reports shots fired at her address. Dispatch asks for her name, and she hangs up. Minutes later, she would walk into the Inglewood police station and hand the gun over to the lobby officer. She was taken into the back and read her rights by a detective, and she refused to answer any questions and requested her lawyer, but had a question of her own. Are they both dead? Turns out that right then, when she made her 911 call, another 911 call was being made from that address by Peter Spitz.
No fucking way.
Right. So Spitz remembers waking up in the hospital to the news that his wife was in jail and being charged with the murder of his mother. He was in shock. He could not fucking believe what they were telling him. Like, "No, you're wrong. Like, that's not my Teresa. She wouldn't do that. She didn't do this to me. There's no way." To couple with the pain of losing his mother, he would learn that his son had been placed into the custody of temporary guardians. Icing on the cake, he is now blind. And it fully destroyed his upper respiratory system, so the only way for him to live is to have the tracheostomy tube, I believe it's called.
Tracheotomy tube?
I think it's different than that. It has an S in it. Like, yeah, because I was like, wait, what's the difference? So this is like, he essentially has to he has a breathing tube that he always has and wears a little backpack with the pump. So yeah, some real shit, man. So, yeah.
This bitch.
Right. So, but I mean, he couldn't believe it. So, the case would become relatively famous, and not for the reasons you may think. The main reason is because Teresa had somebody defending her that no one could wrap their heads around. Peter.
You know,
what the fuck?
I read ahead a little bit while you were. Mm-hmm. Damn, dude.
Yeah. So his family fucking outraged. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and immediately, like, he didn't get the facts and kind of hear it out, and he just went to her defense. And, family, friends, and family, they were separating themselves from Peter at this point because, sick or not, this woman had murdered his mother and shot him in the head 3 times.
And gave custody of his son to somebody else.
Right. They would remain in the custody. He would remain in the custody of for some time.
I mean, I guess while he's recovering from all this and trying to put his life back together, that's probably not the worst thing.
So Peter would be known as her most ardent defender. But not that she hadn't done it, that she deserved to be placed in a mental health facility, not prison. That's what he believed. So he wasn't saying like, she's innocent, let her go. But hey, I don't believe this woman is a criminal. I believe she is mentally unstable and insane. I don't know. It's it's an interesting thing that he would defend her.
Yeah, that's, geez, man.
Although he would also say that he hopes that they could be reunited one day because she was the love of his life.
Dude.
Yeah. So he would do his rehabilitation.
This whole story has me feeling some kind of way, man.
Yeah, it was well written too. So I was able to write something off well written material, and that's very inspiring sometimes,
Yeah.
So thank you. He leaves the hospital. He's fully done with his rehabilitation. He's fully blind. His face is very visibly damaged. He needed the assistance of an oxygen backpack at all time with the tracheostomy tube. He lost a lot of his teeth. He was placed into a Colorado mental facility. She's placed into a Colorado mental facility. The first doctor that looked at her believed, or she's going to be, I should say. The first doctor that looked at her believed she was highly mentally unstable and that she should be not guilty by reason of insanity, just like Peter wanted. But she was tried for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. A high level of planning went into the attack, including removing her son from the home. So, the prosecution is saying she made lists. She made plans. She left cash. She left jewelry. She wrote a letter saying custody. She loaded the weapon. She stashed the weapon. This has first-degree murder.
And then she went and just turned herself in. Like a fucking asshole. She just like rolled up and was like, yep, yo, hey, guess what I did, fuckers? But I'm not going to say anything until my lawyer gets here, because guess who's lawyered up?
Yeah, it has it's just premeditation written all over it. So really gnarly, man.
It's just, God, what a dick.
Yeah, so although Peter wasn't supposed to have any contact with Teresa, even though he's defending her and he's essentially part of the defense at this point, he would call and get to speak with her while she was at one of her facilities. And he said during this conversation that she showed a lot of remorse for what she had done. She was very sorry. They talked about working it out and staying together. Throughout the course of the trial, he would start to find out more and more about her, including the fact that while she was in jail, she had been sleeping with 2 female inmates while incarcerated. One of which Peter let live with him after she was released because, essentially Teresa, the love of his life that he wants to be with, is like, look, my jail friend needs a place to stay after she gets out, and let her come stay at the house. Everything's going to be fine. And Peter lets her come over, but he ends up kicking her out because she's a fucking thief. Like, she's stealing from him constantly. So while she's living there, she makes friends with the neighbors because Peter's close with the neighbors, and she's able to just move in with the neighbors. She's going to pay them X amount of rent or whatever. And after a few months of not doing that and stealing too, they kick her the fuck out as well. They pretty much keep everything that they have. The neighbors' names are the Martinez's, by the way. They kept some of their belongings for the back rent. So they're like, man, fuck this prison lady. Then they keep her shit. So among the belongings were letters and drawings from Teresa, some of which showing the true nature of she and the jail friend relationship. One of which described in detail the night of the attack. So the woman next door, Mrs. Martinez, let's call her, she read the letter and she said it read like a novel. She said she was like, it was terrifying, but it was written like, you could tell it was written by the person that did it. You know what I mean? In the letter, she also talked lovingly about Peter's mother and that she was never a target, but collateral damage. In the letter, she said that, quote, that bitch walked out at the wrong time. In another part of the letter, she described how she had thoughts of harming their son as well as the attack. At one point, she said she had been giving him a bath and let him slip under the water. She said that Sheeta asked from another room if she needed any help, and it startled her kind of back to reality, and looked down, and the baby was smiling underwater because she thought that she was playing with her. And then she pulled the baby out of the water, kind of snapped out of it.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. So the last part of the letter... Go ahead.
That's some crazy postpartum stuff right there. Like,
Yeah.
that's...
And it is a young baby, too. Like, I think at this point, the baby would have been like 7 months old, because he's 8 months old when the attack is committed.
Wow.
Yeah. So, the last part of the letter said that once she was out, she would complete the job she had set out to do. Once he becomes aware of all of this, once he becomes aware of all this, Peter turns the letter over to the defense, but for what reason, I don't know. Why not give it to the prosecution? Because it's completely stashed and it's never even mentioned at trial. Shortly after being in the mental facility and after Peter's found this out and confronted her about it, she's going to file divorce from him, the man who defended her through the trial. And, oh yeah, by the way, she shot him in the fucking face 3 times. So she would do that and change her last name to Lynn, Teresa Lynn. Officials at the hospital would report that Teresa was making leaps and bounds towards her recovery, surprised at how quickly and clearly she is accepting of the treatments and recovery. So she is a model, essentially that first guy who's like, dude, she's fucked. I'm telling you guys, she's insane. She gets to the hospital and they're like, we disagree with Robert Miller's assessment. We don't think that's the case at all. We think she had a temporary mental break, and we're going to work with her, and we're going to figure this out because she is no longer a criminal. She's a patient.
Or she learned how to game the system.
Perhaps, but at this point, legally, she is no longer a criminal. She is a patient. That's kind of the whole thing about it. Yeah, rough, right?
Fuck, dude.
I know, and it's the whole.
It's like she just like physically and metaphorically beat the shit out of this guy.
Yeah.
And he's just like still standing there like, this guy breaks my fucking heart, man.
Yeah, it really does. And then he defended her.
I know.
Yeah. So she's taken to the treatment. She's doing very well in the facility. They've begun to expand her privileges because of this, including unsupervised on-ground privileges. So she's able to like walk around on the grounds without someone walking around with her on the grounds of the facility. But she's also given extended time to visit her son. And Peter says, quote, I was really surprised at how quickly they are moving her through the system. If there's even a 1 in 10 chance that she'll reoffend, that's unacceptable. We're talking about my son here. He's now leading a very difficult life, suffers from extreme isolation anxiety due to his now being blind and mostly alone because he's alienated everybody, and they're still not coming back, I guess.
No fucking shit.
He's like we said, he's blind, breathing through the tracheostomy. Years after the trial, he's still not able to get a regular visits or custody due to clashes with the legal guardians because he didn't think they should have him. So he was essentially like, this is bullshit. And then Teresa starts making a bunch of stuff up, saying like he's a child molester. There's this.
Oh, fuck me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. So he's essentially, Teresa is seeing him a couple times a month. And Peter hasn't seen him in 6 at this point. We're talking about sometime in, I think, 2007. So yeah, it's real rough. So luckily in 2011, Spitz was finally able to convince a judge that he deserves his son back. So they dissolved the guardianship. The guardians, essentially the judge deemed, were in poor decision making and allowing to let their the person they were a guardian over see that mother. That was the judge's decision. Like, that's poor decision making of you. Sure, she was a patient and that's fine, and it is his mother, but you're his guardian, and it's unacceptable that he would be seeing her in that shape. So that's how Peter was able to get the custody dissolved and get custody of his son full time.
Damn.
Yeah. Unfortunately, also in 2011, Teresa would be released despite his concern for he and his son's safety. So that's really the end of the story. And there wasn't much more info on him because this is like a very specific.
Just chilling out there in the fucking wild now.
Mm-hmm. This is a very specific, like Colorado. I believe it was a magazine, and now it's all archived online. There wasn't a lot. The story was over. He got his kid. She got let out. So I'm trying to find something because this is 2011. We're talking 7 years ago. And there's nothing about either of them. And I'm scrolling. I'm like page 7 of Google, and I found a GoFundMe from 2015. That was him. It did not do well. I don't think you can even give to it anymore. It's 3 years old. But he was just, it was very honest, and I felt very like touched by it. That it was just like, look, I'm blind. I breathe through this tube. We got this house and we can afford it, but it's all we can afford. Like anything is, what I'm looking for. Also, I might be being a little selfish, but I only have like 5 teeth, and the dental coverage that I'm given doesn't allow me to get new ones. It only allows cleanings or whatever. So he was trying to raise $100,000 and raise $300. So we can't give to it. I don't know. I feel like I want to do something, but we can't. So far as I can tell, if we can, we're gonna, I don't know, send a care basket. I don't know. It was weird to find something and sort of connect personally with the story while you're just kind of looking for it, and see, there's pictures of him and his son. It was very, it was very surreal, I should say, doing this so many episodes, technically this is like the 67th time we've done this or whatever. So yeah, man, ending on a low note, I suppose. But
I'm so conflicted.
Right. Me too. So yeah, Teresa Lynn out. He has his son full custody. They're doing okay. They're living. They've relocated to a different state, by the way.
Good.
Yeah. So that's really it for that, man. Anything else you want to throw out there? I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring us down so much, but the story was just written so well, and it was an intriguing story. I was
one of those. It's not the regular happy stories. What do they call them? Tragedies. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. It's like a train wreck. I couldn't look away. Yeah. So join us on all the social medias at Serial Chillers Podcast, except for Twitter, which is at Chillers Podcast. Gmail is serialchillerspodcast@gmail.com. The Facebook group has been a lot of fun, especially lately. So jump on there. It's a closed group, but we'll accept you up real fast. So make sure you ask for that.
One person had to wait a while, but it's because they requested when I was asleep.
Yeah. Greg and I were talking about, we love that we can be accessible to you guys, and we're really answering questions our time between like 6:30 when we get up for work and like 2 a.m. when we finish doing this every night. So we got you guys like 20 hours a day. So, reach out. We love to talk to you guys. You can do it through the Google text line as well, 805-666-2513. I don't know, man. What else we got?
At Hella Greg on all your favorite social medias. New podcast coming out soon. You didn't hear it here. It'll be all conspiracies.
And you'll hear it here on the SUPRnetwork.
That's right. Shout out to the SUPRnetwork.
Phew.
My wife makes art. She did she has an Etsy shop now. It's called Feel Your Magic, one word. Check it out.
It's very cool. It's very cool art.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll tell her you said that.
Yes.
That's about all I got.
Cool, man. Well, thank you guys. Let's throw one of these in there just so we can have it. And don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
This has been another presentation from SUPRnetwork.